In this video, we're going to learn 4 new prepositions. The first one is con, which basically means with. Let's just practice it now. I went to the store with my friend. I went a the store con my friend. Now, prepositions are grammatically exchangeable words. You could say, I went con the store a my friend. I mean, it's silly, but you could do that grammatically. Now, prepositions are always used right before nouns, and what's interesting is that you can actually take any random sentence and then throw a preposition and a noun at the end. Let's take the simple sentence, they have a dog. We can throw a prepositional phrase at the end. They have a dog con a tail. They have a dog de Australia. Now, the thing is, when you do this, you should also do the does it make sense test. For example, the preposition a often doesn't work when there's no particular action implied by the sentence that indicates movement. They have a dog to Australia doesn't really make sense. The point is that you can, grammatically, put a preposition and a noun at the end of any sentence. The next preposition that we're going to learn is very easy to use as well as con. The next word is en, which means at. It can mean in or on, but generally speaking, it represents the most standard way to be at something. For example, if I say I'm en a chair, it probably means that I'm on the chair. But if I say I'm en the table, it doesn't mean I'm on the table or in the table. It just means that I'm at the table in whatever way is standard to be at a table. The exception is time. In Spanish, you actually never say at a time, you say to a time. For example, to say at 4 o'clock, you would say to 4 o'clock or a 4 o'clock. So as a quick quiz, how would you say the following sentence? My friends were in the room at 4 o'clock. This would be, my friends were in the room a 4 o'clock. Now for fun, let's take a sentence and add a prepositional phrase at the end and see how many different ways we can do it. So we have, we ate the food. Let's start with con. We ate the food con our friends. Or how about a? We ate the food a 4 o'clock. We ate the food en the table. We ate the food de the refrigerator. Now we're going to learn the words para and por. These words give English speakers a lot of trouble, so we'll spend a little time clarifying these. The thing is that prepositions really don't translate one-to-one between languages. Con might be the easiest to translate. It almost always means with, but it's also used in other nuanced ways. And all prepositions have some quirks. So para means intended for. Por, meanwhile, means something like by. So when you visualize the word para, think of intention and pointing at something. If a gift is para someone, it's intended for them. But por is a problem. It means something like by, but it just has so many uses that we can't reduce it to one translation. So instead, let's think of it as a three-dimensional concept. We'll kind of make a memory palace out of this one word. Picture for a second a water fountain. So imagine that this fountain is producing water. What we would say is the water is being produced por the fountain, since the fountain is the source of the water. Of course, you could use de here, but the word por in a context like this means something that indicates creation, as opposed to just origin. So for this meaning, think of the word as by instead of from. But let's keep picturing that water fountain. So now imagine that the water pools around the fountain. You can say that the water is by the fountain, meaning around or nearby. And that's another meaning of por. The water is por the fountain. Next, imagine that this water is moving in circles around the fountain. So you could say that the water is running along the sides of the fountain, or por, the fountain. In this sense, por means something like along. Por means even more things than that, but the closest summary is by or because of. As you start to practice using por, always remember this image of the water flowing out of the fountain, sitting by it, and making a mess because of it. The word para is different. Whereas por indicates because of, para indicates intended for. Its easiest use is this gift is intended for you, or this gift is para you. To demonstrate the differences between these two words, let's imagine that you have the word eso after one or the other. If you say por eso, you're saying because of that. But if you're saying para eso, it would mean intended for that. The two-word combination por eso is actually extremely common in Spanish. It's used all the time to say because of that or that's why. For example, your friend ate a lot of cake and that's why he feels sick. In these situations, you'll use por eso. Your friend ate a lot of cake and por eso he feels sick. Word combinations like this are called idioms, basically little combinations of words that native speakers use all the time. The more often you use idioms, the more quickly you'll sound like a native speaker. Native Spanish speakers who are learning English have to learn how to say that's why all the time, because that idiom is common in English but doesn't really occur in Spanish. The idiom por eso is the one to learn for speaking Spanish. Another idiom to learn is por qué. What does that literally mean? It's literally because of what, but it's how Spanish speakers ask why. For example, why did your friend eat so much cake? ¿Por qué did your friend eat so much cake? You can say it by itself as well. ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Por qué is used either by itself like this or very often at the beginning of a question, and it's used in almost the exact same way that the English word why is used in questions. And this gets to the heart of what makes por what it is. It has to do with the cause or reason for something. If you use why in a question, you ask por qué. If you use the English word why not in a question, you're likely to be saying por eso. Either way, you're using por, which is used for why something is the case. Another idiom to learn uses the word para, and the word combo is para qué. This means in order that or so that. Remember, para indicates intention. So a sentence example is, we gave him cake so that he could eat it, or in order that he could eat it. This would be, we gave him cake para que he could eat it. Now, you might be upset right now because I seem to be breaking a rule that I told you was always followed, the rule that prepositions have to be followed by a noun of some type. Why are we putting para right before que, which is a connector rather than a noun? Well, let's look at the phrase that has que at the beginning of it. Que he could eat it. The thing is, this whole phrase here with que at the beginning is acting as a noun. So try it out. We could replace this whole statement with food. We did it para food. Then replace food with that he could eat it. We did it para que he could eat it. The que phrase is acting as one big noun in the sentence. In fact, in Spanish, que phrases are used as nouns a lot. Try out this sentence. Food is strange. Now we can replace food with a que phrase. Maybe, que he eats food. Que he eats food is strange. We're treating the fact that he eats food as a noun. It's like saying the fact that he eats food is strange. Either way, we can use a que phrase in place of nouns in sentences a whole lot in Spanish. So prepositions do have to be used right before nouns, but in some cases the noun is a que phrase. The best example is the para que idiom, which means so that or in order that. As you write sentences today playing the potato head game, start to see if you can use que phrases in place of nouns. A lot of the time it won't work simply because the resulting sentence doesn't make sense, but it might surprise you how often it does work. Have fun with it. But if you're not feeling very confident about using que phrases in place of nouns, just start with para que, and we'll build from there. Let's wrap up this video with a mini quiz. We are with him. We are con him. I did it so that you would be happy. I lo did para que you would be happy. He made it for his dad. He lo made para his dad. He's at the cinema with his friend. He's en the cinema con his friend. He did it so that we don't have the same problem. He lo did para que we no have the same problem. They know me, that's why I'm here. They me know, por eso I'm here. Why are you with the girl? ¿Por qué are you con la girl?